Oh, we're live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world, and welcome to SciTrek and
The Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast.
mainly SciTrek though, because we're just the better channel. I mean, I don't want to use the word.
I've got more subscribers, but yeah, I know. I love your channel. I'm always right. I'm saying this to my channel, right? I'm always going to Jay at SciTrek and all your co-hosts and everything for all the information about Star Trek, Stargate, and yeah. So if you're watching live on my channel, check out his stuff. He's got some great material.
I will say though that Mike has got like 100,000+ subscribers, so and that's the dream. That's the dream.
156, 156. Not that I'm actually being specific.
Exactly. Yeah, and I haven't even got 30. So, so we are here because we are talking about the search for Spock. I dropped my pen. We have been rating all of the Star Trek movies. We have done the motion picture. We have done The Wrath of Khan. We are now going to do the search for Spock. What I should say is it's the Spock lost his brain again. He does that a lot. It's like it does it at least twice.
Katra. It's Katra.
Yeah. As it all happens. So we have 7 ratings. We have the Kirk rating. We have the Chekov rating. The Kirk rating is for action, baby. It's like boo, boo, boo.
That's right.
We have the Chekov rating. We have the Spock rating for how logical it is. We have the Chekov rating for like morals and is it Star Trekky. We have the Bones rating for is it funny? Ha 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 ha. We have the Scotty rating for the technology and the science behind things. We have the Uhura rating for how well it's written. And we have the 7 of 9 rating for how good it looks, because 7 of 9 looks so good. So I understand. The motion picture, I scored 2.57 out of 5 on the Roddenberry rating, which is the overall rating, and you scored it 2.12 on the Roddenberry rating. On The Wrath of Khan, which a movie many people consider to be the best of all the original movies, we both scored it 3.85 on the Roddenberry rating. So pretty high, but not, like, woo.
Yep.
And we're now going to find out how the search for Spock rates. I watched the search of Spock yesterday for the first time in years. And my God, I enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
Oh, it was.
It is a great film.
It is really, really good. Hey, Dave. Hey, Sarah. Hey, R. Brain Power's doing this. This chap is over on your channel.
Oh, he's on mine. Yeah, it's on mine. Yep. Hello.
Suck at life. Hello, sir. Laura's in. Hello. So, right, we'll kick straight off with the Kirk rating and the action. We'll talk about it and then we'll score it. But it's the thing I loved about definitely Star Trek 2 and 3 was that they were written together, sort of thing. They were planned together.
Yes,
it was all
they were continued as like a part 1, part 2.
Yeah, Michael Walsh. Yeah, so and I think the Voyage Home was as well. They were produced as a trilogy almost.
Sure.
The action doesn't let you down in this movie. What's your thinking about having watched it for the first time in a while?
To be honest, I didn't watch it again, but I know the movie so well that I can already answer without actually rewatching it. One aspect which I liked in comparison to the previous movie is that obviously Khan and Kirk in the previous movie, they didn't actually physically meet. They were just talking on view screens. This time we saw Cruise and Kirk, and they had a proper fight, a fist fight on a planet disintegrating, which I loved. Brilliant scenes of that. And of course, you can't go wrong with Christopher Lloyd. And there was lots of space battles, and there's Klingons, birds of prey decloaking. We had the Berth, Grissom blowing up. We had the Excelsior chasing the Enterprise. We had lots of stuff. And I think it worked very well for action.
Yeah,
I love the Excelsior. It's one of my favourite ships. Absolutely love it.
And who knew that was going to be a starship that would then be knocking around for the next century as the frontline vessels? Not just because they had a model that they could blow up. No, it was actually that successful a vessel that it was that it survived that long.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Every time they needed to blow up a ship, they just blew up an Excelsior. But yeah, I thought this had. There's not. We were a bit weak on the space battle side of things in this movie compared to the Wrath of Khan, which had one of the greatest chess matches.
There's less space battles in this one a bit. Yeah.
But we had a bit more. Well, we had a bit more fisticuffs. We had a bit more. We had a villain in Christopher Reeve's. Was it Krug? Krug?
I think it's Krug.
And
it's Christopher Lloyd, not Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve. Superman.
Yeah.
That's the crossover we all wanted.
That would have been an interesting movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Target Superman with phases, Mr. Scotty. But we had a bit more physicality. Christopher Reeve, I'm going with it now. Screw it. Was Christopher Lloyd was just as good a villain for me as Khan.
I agree. He was very motivated to get the Genesis details for his own ends, and of course, I mean, obviously this film is going to be lots of spoilers we're going to talk about, but of course, Krug kills Kirk's son, and Kirk in turn kills his crew. So there's a lot of aspects about the fact that Krug hates Kirk in a similar way to Khan, I suppose.
He's a proper Klingon. The only other time
it's the first proper Klingon we saw.
Yeah. It's like
since the original movies.
Grissom, and they fires and it destroys the vessel. and Christopher Lloyd goes, "I told you to target the engines." And the guy goes, "I was just a lucky
shot, sir." Yeah.
Blows his, and it's just that really cool effect when we talk about visuals. And
this all goes.
The flame right with his mouth, and you just such a cool effect.
Yeah.
I like that. And he just goes, lucky shot, man. And and it's just he's a proper Klingon commander, and it's just like I love that about it. And that he sees the Genesis device that the Federation see as this tool to create life, but he sees it for what it really is, the greatest weapon that's ever been created.
Absolutely.
It's a one-hit, planet killer, because it would just wipe everything out. Hey, Freddie, how you doing? So, yeah, I love it from that point of view. So let's score it from a Kirk rating then. I'm going to say we both scored the Wrath of Khan. Well, you actually scored the Wrath of Khan 4 on the Kirk rating. I scored it 5. I can't say it's as good on the Kirk rating as the Wrath of Khan. It doesn't have quite the same action for me, but I'm giving it a solid 4. It's really not far off.
I agree. I'll probably give it. Can we give half points, or is it going to be like 4-3?
It's got to be.
Let's give it solid. Let's give it 3. Let's give it a 3 from me. I'll give it a 3. I think similar.
Okay. Because it's still it is up there with one of the greatest movies. I mean, the whole point of this is we're rating the Star Trek movies compared to each other, but it's really hard to split these two films up, I think, really, because they were made virtually back to back. It's just, Anyway, let's move on.
It's like a two-parter, isn't it? It's like a really Next Generation two-parter. So
we'll talk about the Spock rating because this is interesting again because we've got the logic. How logical is thing, and we talked a lot about the Genesis device in the last episode and how logical it would be for the Federation to design such a technology. For me, this then goes into, though, my main issue with the device, that it is a weapon. But then they kind of, the film creators, though, completely flip this on its head because they go, it's a weapon. And the Klingons would freaking love it. So for me, from a logic point of view, 100%. Yeah, that's what the Klingons would see.
Yeah, but you see, with the Klingons, it's a logical aspect in two ways. It's also logical for their benefit if they had that, they could use it as a weapon, but also they could see it as a weapon to themselves, as an antagonist, as a something which could actually affect them.
Right.
So it's pros and cons both ways. It's deadly if you're if it's something you have, or it's something that you could be on the receiving end of. So yeah, logically, greetings
But
humans.
it's not even just
Yeah, it's fine.
that it's a weapon to the Klingons, though, is it? It's the growth and the expansion of the Federation. Because I mean, Christopher Lloyd again, he's talking about it, isn't he? He says, "Oh, we've got a nice planet with trees and things, and a family, playing on the grass and
fluttering in the breeze is the flag of the Federation."
Exactly.
Charming.
So it's not just a threat; it's an ideological threat to the Klingons.
Expansion, yeah.
Because
it's more
of
about the Federation against, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Breathing Room, Hitler, 1939. Oh no, sorry, that's another film. But yeah, it for me that was Christopher Lloyd and Cruz just explained it beautifully in that. I have one logical area that I'm not sure, and it really is. I'm being nitpicky a little bit.
Nothing wrong with that.
But you know how I like to be nitpicky.
That's fine.
So, at the end of the Wrath of Khan, obviously Spock goes into the chamber and he does and we got that one of the greatest moments in sci-fi, the needs of the many, you will and always be.
The needs of few, yes, my friend. Yeah.
So been repeated many times, even in Star Trek. They then put Spock's body in a torpedo. Now, it would have been radioactive, is the only thing that I can think of, but they never mention why they did this. But they then launched that torpedo at the Genesis planet and bury him.
They do. That's the end of it, yeah.
When they come home, Spock's dad is like, my son died.
He's pissed off. Yeah.
My son died. And I'd be like, where's his body? And I'm like, we left it on the Genesis planet. Like, why?
This sort of happened. Yeah, well, it was the moment, wasn't it? And it's like, yeah.
Why on earth?
I was sad.
We'd quite like to bury him on Vulcan, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Give me his body. Never mind the whole, brain and anything, which we'll talk about the logic of that in a minute as well, because apparently Vulcan
sure.
in this movie suddenly don't die. Apparently. It made no sense to me that they would do a burial at sea in space.
Yeah, it's kind of thing. I suppose that maybe Kirk thought that the only Amanda, his mother, was still alive as well, and I just don't think he gave a shit. Basically, he just thought, yeah, what the hell? Let's just put him on Genesis. That's where Genesis was created because of Spock's death, kind of thing. So, but as you say,
so that the movie could happen. That's why they did it.
Oh yeah, it's obviously it's a plot twist. Yeah, otherwise he would have gone to Vulcan. He would have got his Catra would have been transferred over, but that's the end of Spock. And of course, it was a plot device. But yeah, I can see what you're coming from. But
my next question is: I think this is a little less nitpicky. I think that was nitpicky. My next one is: have you got a bit of a cold, sir? Are you a bit bunged up?
I have. I do apologise. I'm a bit stuffed up, so I'm plodding on. I'm fine. Sorry.
We're all a bit bunged up at the moment. I've just got over a cough that I had for like a month. But anyway, so my next question is: you've got the Catra. If they hadn't have got Spock's body, where were they going to put it? This Catra. So his brain. He thought his brain was in Kirk. The body is dead.
Would there be a possibility that Vulcan has something where Vulcans who they can volunteer to take a deceased Vulcan's Catra? But then why would they do that? Why would they do that?
No, you need like a blank. You basically need what they got. You basically need a blank Spock.
Spock, which they got.
From the movie.
Again, it's very convenient, isn't it? It worked out perfect. Yeah. I agree.
So the whole thing, and obviously they never mention this again in Star Trek that I'm aware of ever. That actually, when a Vulcan dies, they transfer their spirit into another being, so it can be carried to the steps. But they don't actually then tell us what.
Don't they do that in Enterprise when we have Surak's Katra transferred into to Poles? No, yeah. There was something about Katra in Enterprise
at the time, to be honest. So I don't really.
Yeah, it was used in that. It was used in that. Yeah, it was a long time ago. But the Katra of Surak, the founder of the Vulcan philosophy, was being kept somehow. It's a long time since I've seen the episode, but that's the only time it's mentioned in canon. I can think of.
But apparently Vulcans are immortal, but we just don't know the mechanics of it. But
and then, all right, but if that's the case, then how come we haven't seen any more apart from this Enterprise reference I've mentioned? It's never been mentioned before that it's part of the culture that a soul, if that's what you want to consider it, is transferred. And then what happens if? They need to explain that. It wasn't actually explained at all. Yeah, and it's funny. I never really thought about that, but that's a bit of a big plot hole actually. The whole Vulcan philosophy in this movie. So yeah.
And these are explanations. It was an interesting plot device for the movie to happen, but then it was never really followed through at all. And it doesn't matter because it's a brilliant film. I'm just, but if we're going to look at this from a purely logical point of view, it's a bit of a hole in the plot, you know. So I'm scoring it on a Spock rating. I'm a little struggling because those are quite big plot points, but the rest of the movie makes sense. It just makes sense. There's the battle. They're the elves of space. Vulcans are the elves of space. If I could go half points, I would give this 3.5, but we can't, so I'm giving it a 3. And I feel I'm being a little mean, if I'm honest, but there's just
but it's the Vulcan logic. Let me just say, I would have given it a 4, but you've actually made a very valid point about the Katra and about the whole thing, which has not really been focused upon.
Are you thinking or have you paused? I think you've paused. So I'm on my own, talking to myself. La 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 la. So we have. Oh, Anna, you're back. What did you decide on? Because you paused for a second. Can you hear me, Michael? Mike.
Okay. All right, I'm back. I can see you now.
Yeah, excellent. So what score did you decide on?
Sorry, 3. 3. Not that, not 4, 3.
Okay. 3, baby. All right, then. Now, this is where I think we're going to score a little higher because we've got the Chekov rating. And this rating is about Star Trek morals, etc. I don't think there's any major problems in this movie for me. There's nothing in there that I think that's not Star Trekky. You guys convinced me on the Genesis weapon last week that actually the Federation probably would develop or would be interested in such a technology. They abandon it because it doesn't work, and Mike has gone. What do you guys think so far about our score rating while we're waiting for Mike to reappear? I'll wait for Mike to come back. As we've got you guys in and I'm waiting for Mike, I'm going to do something that I promised I wouldn't do, and I'm going to give you guys a bit of an exclusive on Stargate. Would you like me to do that? Because I can. Oh, Mike's back though.
Sorry, it just chucked out. It literally just went bang. Something went wrong. I was gone. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's my end or your end. So please. Right. What was the last question? Sorry.
I was just asking the guys in the lovely audience if they would like me to give them a bit of a bad news Stargate exclusive, but I'm going to hold on to the end of the video then, as you're back. But I have got something to tell you.
Okay, I'll look forward to it when you get there. That's fine.
Yeah. So the Chekov rating, I actually think there's nothing in this movie that's a problem. I actually think the way the Federation behaves makes sense. The Federation realized that the Genesis device is a problem. The only thing I have an issue with really is that even though when the evidence and you've got the Vulcan ambassador telling the admirals, this has happened, you need to help, and they refuse because the Genesis, but that shows the politics of the Federation as well, that it is like this hot potato. The Genesis planet in itself is a nightmare. And it just makes sense from that point of view. So I'm going to say a solid 4, to be honest. There's nothing in it that's a problem for me.
Okay. Well, you broke up in the middle of that, but I obviously hear it again now. But you gave it a solid 4. But yeah, I think in the morals of Star Trek, in what's been done, when it actually fits to the proper Star Trek aesthetic. Yeah, I know I'm agreeing, but I'll give it a 4 as well. I think it's got a lot of strong points about it. It fits very well in with the whole ethos, if that's the right word for what Star Trek's about. And when people actually make Star Trek and get Star Trek, then Search for Spock, I've always rated it very highly, as you can probably tell already. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'll say 4. I think it's a very solid aspect on that.
I think I will give you that. Let's go. Oh, and this is now next. The next rating is the Bones rating, and that is for humor because we both agree that Bones is just hilarious. And
he is.
I'm scoring this
quite
high.
low. Oh, yeah, you're quite high. Okay, this might be different. Okay, what's funny about it? What did you find funny about
it? The early bits in it, particularly when the bit that I like most is when they're planning the stealing the Enterprise. That's the bit that there's 4 or 5 funny moments. You've got the whole bit with the big security guard, and he stands up over Sulu and goes,
"Tiny, don't call me tiny." Yeah,
so Sulu beats him up. You've got the bit where Kirk speaks to the Admiral, and then he comes in. The answer is no, so I'm going anyway.
All right, okay.
You've got the bit with Uhura, and she picks that job just so she can get that job, and then she pulls the phaser on the guy that's going, that's Admiral Kirk. This is highly irregular. Get in the closet. What? And that's really funny. I love the bit when the Enterprise is backing up towards the space doors, and Kirk dramatically leans in and goes, Scotty, now. And Scotty just looks up confused, like, yes, Captain. He goes, no, open the door, Scotty. He goes, yeah, I'm trying. And he carries on, and then that moment of panic when Kirk goes, "Oh shit!" something. That whole sequence is just hilarious for me. I just think it's one of the most funny bits in Star Trek, and we've lost Mike again.
I'm back.
Are you here? You are frozen.
I'm so sorry. Is it my end or your end or what? I think it's my end, probably. Is it?
It's your end. But I think it is, guys. Anyway, you can tell me if you guys can see me in the if you can let me know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know.
It's Mike.
Sorry.
So I just think that whole sequence is Star Trek, the original series, at its best funny. The rest of the film isn't. Don't get me wrong, it isn't funny, but that whole sequence is done a little bit tongue in cheek, and it's just brilliant for me. And it's some of the funniest bits in all of Star Trek for me, so I'm giving it a 5.
I won't give it as high as that. Another funny scene I do remember was, and obviously it dropped out when you were saying, but I was thinking about the scene with Bones.
Oh, he's completely gone. So, right, a little bit of a Stargate exclusive. While Mike's gone, we'll come back to talking about the Star Trek, the search for Spock. But he's back. He's back.
I don't know what. This is the worst it's ever been. I'm so sorry, Jay. I do apologize.
To be fair, though, we can see you. So whatever you just did has fixed it.
Yeah.
I
will say, go on, carry on what you finish. You say what you're saying, and then I'll finish.
Scott. And we'll keep teasing this Stargate exclusive, but we'll
transport. And he's trying to get transport to the Genesis planet, and he's this guy is sort of like arguing with him, and it's quite funny. McCoy's very funny in the scenes, isn't it? So I think I would.
You've gone again, Mike. I think we're going to have to abandon this video because we're not getting anywhere with it, are we? And it's not getting. We're having a.
All right, three.
Okay, we got the scoring. We got the scoring. That's the main thing. Yeah. Bones arguing with the guy with the big ears. Big ears make you so deaf. It's really brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We will try to get this video done. The Scotty rating is the Genesis planted the loud. I love that bit. The Scotty rating that I give in, guys. So I'm going to talk about Stargate, and we will come back and we will redo this video at some point in the future. We're halfway through. I'll get Mike when his Wi-Fi works, and we'll do it again because this is one of the best Star Trek movies, and it does deserve it. Two things quickly. Immediately after this video, I'm going to be going over to M Cubed, and I'm going to be talking to the young American. We are going to be talking about Oscars, and I am going to make him talk about Stargate a little bit. But I have had a little bit of bad news about Stargate, and I've spent a couple of days now trying to find out how real this problem is. We've given in, mate, but I'm going to give you a little bit of info on Stargate, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll see how things go, and we'll see if we can finish the video. But I got this exclusive a couple of days ago. I got an email from a guy that works over at one of the larger talent agencies in the United States. And he's basically said he was talking to an MGM executive about another movie, another project that they're working on.
Right.
And while they were chatting, they were talking about the redundancies that were announced. And what he thought that was going to affect certain projects that have been announced that they were working on, because obviously this guy or girl, it could be a girl, was trying to get a feeling for the agent for his employer about whether things were going to get slowed down or whatever. And when they were chatting, they sort of said, "Look, MGM had plans for several big projects." And a lot of them have been put on hold.
Right.
So he did mention the RoboCop movie, and he said, "Look, that's probably on the back burner now. It's not cancelled. They still fully intend to have a Stargate, the RoboCop movie, but they're going to prioritize other things, and they have to now, because there's been a significant redundancies, they will have to restructure the teams."
Okay. Right.
The problem is that is probably Stargate as well.
Oh, wow.
So, but he actually went a little bit further with the Stargate. He's actually gone as far as saying he actually thinks the Stargate movie is going to get scrapped.
Oh, what?
So we know, because I'm not the only one that's been saying this before anybody jumps on saying that, we know the Stargate movie was planned. We know that there's several of the actors have come out and said it. It's not saying that there was these plans for these Stargate movies. It looks like Amazon during the strikes have decided that there isn't the support that they thought they had. Apparently for a movie anyway. The silver lining might be the series might actually give me more weight now. It may be, I was talking to you guys about August, how they had this big meeting series. MGM were arguing series, and it may be that made them go, yeah, okay, actually, you're probably right when they presented that evidence. I don't know for that fact. I'm speculating a bit, but the guy from MGM though basically was arguing. And he was actually apparently quite annoyed. He says, particularly, he kept using the Stargate as a reference, but he said, we were ready to go with the Stargate project. There was really good public support, but because it's dragged out so long, it's just waned. There isn't the support there that there was.
It's always interesting because I've always thought that whoever's potentially doing it, they have wasted too long. It's lost its momentum. The thing is that we've had Star Trek back for a long time now. We've had Star Wars back for quite a long time. Well, not back, but we had quite a lot of TV, and they are trying to do stuff. But everyone's been saying, and we've been saying this on my channel for years, when is Stargate coming back? Yeah. And every time there's some possibility of it brewing up and something's happening, there's always something that seems to throw it back down again into the rubble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just been one thing after another. MGM's financial problems, and then COVID, and then the strikes, Amazon restructuring MGM and absorbing MGM, and now it turns out Amazon, everyone keeps going about, Amazon's got deep pockets. The problem is overextended. The business apparently overextended themselves during COVID because everyone was at home, everybody ordering off Amazon. So Amazon expanded very quickly, and now everyone stopped buying everything on Amazon, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, the business it doubled in size in 6 months, and now it's contracted. They overspent, and they don't have the finances. The parent company doesn't have the finances they did.
Right.
They're not going under or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but there were some conditions that say they actually have significant debt. They borrowed a lot of money to expand quickly, and then they contracted quickly.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, really, isn't it? It's I think that during the COVID, I mean, all these businesses, we were at home, we were watching streaming channels because there was nothing else to do for a lot of the time, and of course, that some of the companies, I feel that it went a bit to their heads. They thought, "Oh, this is the future. This is going to be the case," and of course, eventually, normality has crept back in. I mean, streaming is still a much bigger aspect than it was before COVID.
Yeah,
but it's balanced out. It went too much one way, and now it's leveling out, but not to the levels that they thought it was going to be after.
Well, it's just this thing we keep talking about, the streaming wars that they've been Netflix and Disney. And the problem is the streaming wars. Everybody except Netflix lost. Everybody.
Yeah.
Apple did well out of it, but pretty much everyone lost. But the thing. I'm going to put a caveat on this, that this was one executive from MGM. I know what level that executive is.
Okay.
And I could say to you that there's no reason to not believe what they're saying, but at the same time, it's not Amazon. It's not an Amazon source that's saying this. And I've also gone out and asked every other source I could think of, and nobody has heard anything like this. The problem is there's lots of things over the last 6 months that if this is true, makes sense. MGM Plus definitely want the series. The guy basically says, well, look, it looks like MGM Plus will get the series, but it won't be this year. So, and I don't mean it'll appear on MGM this year. It won't go into
but actually be going to production, or in development, okay. Yeah.
So, and my other issue that I always come back to in my head was I was always told by a very decent source who doesn't know anything specifically about Stargate, but he knows the industry.
Okay.
And he told me well over a year ago that if we didn't get an announcement on Stargate by sort of April last year, that it would be years, and that we would probably end up getting a reboot.
Okay.
And he had a really good argument for that at the time. Now that was pushed back because we were going to get the announcement in June, which is only a couple of months after what he said. They were going to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I know actually for a fact that there was a load of prep work done, and they were going to film this at least in part in Poland. And there was a German company set up to do the special effects, and they were contracted to do the special effects. I know that was all lined up. And then obviously the strikes happened, and it got put on pause. And what did I keep saying during the strikes? Don't give executives time to stop and think about things.
Yeah, I was going to say it's about reevaluating. if the momentum of normal production is fine, then as you say, it's actually probably a beneficial thing. But when they're sitting there, they can't do anything, they can't create anything, you can't anybody to write anything because they're all on strike. They hang on it. Maybe we should. It's always indecisiveness, and it's kind of like it's so frustrating because
then
in the
you've
end,
also got Marvel bombing.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones bombing.
Yeah, I that.
Films like The Creator came out, didn't do as well.
I loved The Creator.
It's a great film.
Love The Creator.
Didn't do great at the box office.
It should have done. It should have done. It was my favourite movie from last year.
I've gone with Willy Wonka, but
I didn't mind that. I saw that. Do you know what? That was the first film I saw at the cinema since the pandemic. Last thing I saw was The Rise of Skywalker, and you know what? It was actually a nice film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. But I just think that I do wonder if Amazon have looked at that and gone, a big sci-fi franchise at the cinema, we're going to lose a crap load of money. And I do wonder if that's the bulk of it, that they've looked at the trend and gone, yeah, this isn't going to work right now.
But I mean, Stargate obviously started off as a cinematic movie and then it went to TV. I mean, I've always thought that Stargate has always worked better as a TV entity rather than a movie franchise, even though there's only one film in that. And it's like, obviously you've been reporting for a long time. Sometimes you've heard that it's more likely it's going to be a movie. And then it might be that it might be a movie, which will then really go on to a TV series. And it's all this uncertainty. And it's just, you are one of the biggest Stargate fans I know. And I'm a big Stargate fan myself. But it must just, I mean, you partly created your channel because of being a Stargate fan and sharing it with like-minded people. I mean, how does it affect you? Does it really make you feel disheartened about streaming services in general and all this uncertainty, or how do you sort of put it on board and deal with it?
For me, it's frustrating because I've been incredibly lucky to see behind the scenes and be able to hear every step almost of and there's stuff I've not been able to tell you guys because I can't.
That's understandable. I can understand that, of course. Yeah, I understand that.
And so I know a bit more than what I can say.
Sure.
And it's absolutely maddening how particularly Amazon works as a studio.
Right.
And then, I've been talking about Stargate now for 2 years. Before that, but for a long time, it was because I had sources at MGM. They were telling me MGM were being allowed to believe that they were going to be allowed to crack on with their project. They had the Brad Wright script. They had another script that they thought they were going to be able to, and Amazon was going to let them do it.
Yeah.
And then a year ago, all of a sudden, it was like they're going to do a movie. Amazon want to do a movie.
That's right. I remember you reporting that. Yeah, that's right.
And then everyone else started reporting it's going to be a movie. Certain people like Popcast guys were pretending that they would release the exclusive. It was going to be a movie, but anyway, bloody people. But and then it rocked on, and then they started doing all the development work. They started doing all this thing. And we know that and so I'm watching this happen, and I'm thinking, brilliant, it's getting this way. I don't particularly want a movie, but brilliant, it's happening.
Anything really.
And then around March, all of a sudden, things started unraveling. And again, I can see it unraveling. And it's like, I've got a horrible feeling I know where this is going. And I've got certain people still going in my ear, no, don't worry, this is still going to happen. They've already spent, I can't say, but they've already spent money on this.
Okay.
A lot of money on this. Again, I can't say more than that, but it's, and then for it to go to this point and go, well, it's just not going to happen. And I say it's not. I don't want to say it's definitely not going to be a movie because Amazon could still turn around and go, "Yeah, we've changed. It's fine." But yeah,
it's not good. It's not good. You just have to hope that something will suddenly come along and you come back and say, oh, actually, this is your idea, and there's, I don't know. I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it not getting going. And the longer that there's a gap between, because I think Universe finished in about 2011, I think it was. It's about like 13 years ago. It's been a long time now.
This year.
In the end, even though Stargate is a wonderful franchise, that's a long time to not basically have anything apart from that.
Well, this is what this person from MGM was basically ran, and he got quite annoyed, and he was just like, and he wasn't just talking about Stargate, but apparently Stargate was the because my source is interested. He likes Stargate, so he kept asking about it. But he was just saying we had all this brilliant momentum. We had all this brilliant, really positive momentum to do several projects.
Sure.
And Amazon has come in and just completely deflated everybody.
Oh, sorry.
Because they've decided to absorb the company basically, and it's taken forever. And they had all this opportunity to release really good, positive stories, and they've just not done it.
Not proceeded with it.
No. And I've got sources that again work really high up in these areas, banging their heads against a brick wall, going, "Why on earth aren't they announcing this? Why aren't telling me that when the Stargate movie was planned, announce it now? Just announce it."
Once you've announced it, then you've actually sort of like started off.
I don't know if when they waited for San Diego Comic-Con, I don't know if they had one eye on thinking this might not happen because of the strikes. So let's wait. And then actually the strikes happened and it didn't.
And that's what affected, yeah.
But they were, just people go, let's just announce it now. We need a good news story. Let's just announce it. And they just wouldn't. They just kept holding.
It would get a huge amount of media hype if they'd have done it. If they'd sort of like said, it would have. I mean, the whole community, not just people in science fiction in general. Stargate is big enough that it would actually. They might think, oh, this has got a lot of interest here. This is actually, maybe this is actually a good idea. But they were too, well, like I said, circumstance, wasn't it?
Too long. Anyway, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more on the live video with Harris. So don't forget to go over and subscribe. He wants to talk about Oscars and things, but we'll talk about this a little bit as well. Sure. Because Harris nearly cried when I told him.
Yeah. Was he upset?
Yeah, a little bit. So we'll finish off this rating anyway.
Sorry about that. It's been an interesting one with the production.
No. We're on the Scotty rating.
Okay.
We'll whip through it because I've promised.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
About 10 minutes.
No problems.
Scotty rating. Both of the first two movies for technology scored 3s for me and you. No, you scored 4 for. You scored higher for the last one because you like the Genesis. I was kept arguing about the practicality of the Genesis weapon,
and I was going about the technical. I do.
Yeah. I am going to say that I still have an issue with the practicality of how a Genesis weapon works, but I love the way they set this up to turn it into a weapon, and I love things like how the rapid evolution of the planet and stuff. Then they linked it in with the bacteria and things. I really, really like that, and I'm not going to pretend it's very technological, but somebody even came up with how the transwarp drive works for the.
That's what I was going to say. I was waiting to say transwarp. That was going to be my side of things.
Yeah,
that's my technical aspect of this movie.
Yeah, it basically was used almost like transporter technology merged with a warp drive, and it didn't work. But that's how it was supposed to work. There's a whole.
I never knew that. That's never been actually explained in canon.
There's a whole thing that explained it. It's marvelous, really, really clever and genius technology. So I'm going to give it a 4. And that's being generous because there's certain aspects of the film that make no sense. But I love how well thought out and everything was connected. And like I said, the bacteria massively evolving and regenerating Spock's cells and things like this. It was all interlinked. It was all very clever. And none of it sort of contradicted anything else. It was thought through.
Well, I think for me, technologically, I'll give it 3 for the simple reason that both the technological aspects of this movie went wrong. Genesis went wrong, and also the transwarp went wrong. So as far as I'm concerned, they were great technological ideas, but they, in reality, they didn't actually prove themselves to be too kind of reliable. So I'm going to give it a 3, I think.
Okay.
For that simple reason.
I actually think the next rating is going to be the Uhura rating. Harris, I will be with you at 7, mate, because I want to eat at some point this evening. So
we'll finish. We'll get this done. We'll get this done. Go on.
Yeah, he's there in the comments going, "Don't worry, I'm hanging out." Well, stop hanging out. Be ready, because I've got it. I'm so hungry. Damn you, Harris, young Americans. He's just had his breakfast. I need my tea. But anyway, the Uhura rating, straight up for me. I'm not even arguing this. It's a 5. Done. I think both of these movies are beautifully written. I have absolutely no issue with any of the writing. It's logical. It's funny when it's supposed to be. It's heart-wrenching when it's supposed to be. You bastards, you killed my son. It's perfect.
It's one of my favorites. I completely agree wholeheartedly as giving it a 5 as well. I absolutely love The Search of Spock. I still remember seeing it in my local video shop, like a Blockbuster sort of thing, and I couldn't wait to hire it out and watch it, and I loved it. And I remember seeing it when I was about, I don't know how old I was, but about 13, 14, and I absolutely adored this movie. So yeah, for that rating, it's a 5 for me.
Yeah, and when we talk about the next movie, it's just like this isn't quite that, but these three movies,
slightly different,
2, 3, and 4,
yeah,
they're so beautifully written and so beautifully conceptualized. Even though, if you break down the plots of the story, they make no bloody sense at all. Big cylinder comes and attacks our oceans. Why?
Basically, that's it. No, that's it.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The 7 of 9 rating for visuals, again, all day. I'm going a 5. I think, and we scored both. We both scored this a 5, and then for the Search.
I'll agree. Same, yeah, 5 again. Yeah, absolutely. For the time it made it, for the way it looks, wonderful, absolutely wonderful production in every way, shape, or form. You can't fault it.
Obviously, a little dated. Is
just because it's dated doesn't mean it's not good. It's wonderful. I kind of like a lot of the old visuals compared to the CGI fests that you get in some modern things, which doesn't always work for me. It does work sometimes and quite a lot of times, but no, what they did with that movie was absolutely. And the shots of the Excelsior leaving space dock and gliding by, and it's wonderful. And the Grissom and the bird of prey, the cloaking device.
The effect of the Enterprise going into Starbase 001.
Oh, God, yeah.
And when it's slowly going into port sort of thing, and the, Nurse Chaplain people are there and
they're
everyone.
looking by in the bay, aren't they? They're sort of going, yeah.
It's imagine seeing that at the cinema, though.
Absolutely fantastic. I'd love to have seen it at the cinema. It would have been epic if I'd have seen it when that was released. Brilliant.
Right, I've just done my score. I'm just doing yours now.
Okay.
Plus.
I think this one's going to be quite high, I think.
That can't be right. Wait a second.
Okay.
I must have done some math wrong there. So that's
do the math wrong, man. Go do the math right.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was a terrible accent.
26 divided by... You've scored it quite a lot lower than me. Oh, you've scored a couple lower than me. Right, okay.
Have I? I was surprised about that.
You have scored it slightly lower than The Wrath of Khan, which I think probably is fair. So you've scored it at 3.71. Okay. You scored The Wrath of Khan at 3.85. I've actually
similar. Go on.
This movie at 4.28. So the way I have scored this, it is actually better than The Wrath of Khan.
I like them both, though. I mean, if I really have to choose, I would say that I both like them equally. But the way that we rate it, it's not going to be exact. But
I'll tell you where split these up is the Bones rating for me. I rated the humor a fair bit lower.
Okay.
For the Search for The Wrath of Khan, a lot lower. And I rated the Scotty rating. I've rated a little bit higher because I've gone with the thought, and that's where the difference has been.
All right, that's fair enough.
Which is that thing as a movie, maybe there's no humor in The Wrath of Khan particularly, whereas there's a beautiful 10 minutes in this film. It's just
which I'd actually forgotten about until you actually sort of like reminded me of some of those scenes. You're right. It's just the second half. There's not much humor.
Yeah. So, right, that is it. We have scored. So far, we have scored. I've scored the first movie 2.57, the second movie 3.85, and the third movie 4.28. These films are getting better and better every time we do it. Until we get to Star Trek 5, in which case, landing off a cliff. You have scored them 2.12, 3.85, and 3.71. So I think most people would probably agree with that, though, that the Search for Spock is not quite as iconic as The Wrath of Khan. So,
but still a wonderful movie, still a brilliant movie, and Yeah, absolutely.
This is
And it
why
is
we're
funny.
breaking these down, because then you can actually see where
It's an interesting experiment, and also from our different perspectives. I mean, we both like Star Trek, but in the end, every Star Trek fan reacts slightly different to what's out there and what they
the
made.
different aspects of the movie.
Apart from Discovery, of course, so most people sort of respond to Discovery, and that's sort of like,
well, the first season.
I like the second season of that.
The first season makes me angry. Like irrationally violent towards Klingons, made out of plasticine. But other than that, it's a great. Yeah, I hate that. I was going to say other than that, it's great. It's not. It's awful. I hate Discovery. Other than Michelle Yeoh, I hate Discovery. Terrible. And just as the video gets towards the end, Mike freezes again.
This happens every bloody week. Like, okay, Jay, I'm back.
You need to get some better Wi-Fi. Can I suggest not getting my Wi-Fi provider though, because it's bloody awful. But it's better. Did you live near the coast or something? Do you live you live somewhere quite pretty, don't you? You can't hear me. I'm completely gone. All right then. Well, there is a link. There is a link to our Mikey's channel, Code Clud, in the description. Please follow and subscribe.
And likewise to SciTrek on all your stuff you do, because I love it. Brilliant.
Yeah, it is one of the best channels on YouTube, really, SciTrek, and we should all love it. And Code Clud's, no. But SciTrek, we all do what we do, and I just do it a little not as well as other people, but I enjoy what I do. So
I don't do it the same as you. I just do it for a laugh. It's all about having fun and sharing stuff, and people feel all the same as I do.
Well, same here. I do it because I enjoy doing it, or I wouldn't.
I do too. I like to get out there and meet interesting people, so that's what we're here.
No, I've made some of my best friends in real, through doing this channel, which is just astonishing.
And my co-host on my channel, he's a great guy, Martin. So I'm very lucky. And meeting people like you as well. It's great.
Yeah, I know. I love Martin. He's funny. Martin. Right.
Come back to our channel soon. By the way, we'll have you back soon for something.
Yes, I will accept any invite of anything that you want to do that I can be bothered to attend.
That's great. That works for us.
Can't really argue with that, can you?
No.
I'm there 100% if I can be asked.
That's fair enough. That's all right. I can't argue with that.
You do something anytime, mate. Honestly, if I've got the time, I will give.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
So, Co-Clud, you're all. well, there you go. Harris has said you're always welcome on M3 as well if you want. So I will link you guys up. But he's gone again. So thank you so much, Mike, for mostly attending this episode. And I'll see you again really soon. Bye, everybody. Meet us over on M Cubed in about 5 minutes. See you in a minute. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.